Perfect. Again, welcome everyone to a quick Q&A about the Google for Black Founders Fund. My name is Leke. I'm the founder of an organization called Black Valley. Essentially, we started in 2020 with a sole focus to look to get more Black talent and founders into tech. We believe strongly in that because we feel that it was more digital and we need more Black representation. So we could be part of people creating that future world and be part of those people generating wealth through it. And one of the ways we do that is we actually run our own accelerator program. And off the back of some conversations with our alumni, it was apparent that a lot of people are looking to apply for Black Founders Fund, and they will ask some questions. And it's an area that I'm not necessarily an expert. So luckily, I had some good relationship with Daniel. I reached out to him, spoke to him. Daniel's an alumni, which I'll introduce in a sec. And he mentioned that he could also invite Sam to join the conversation with us. So thank you. So a quick intro. First of all, Samuel Adesanya is the founder of Devo, which is an end-to-end operating system and for convenience stores. And then we've got Daniel Ojeme as well, founder of Ecobell, which enables anyone, anytime to communicate and create access to like joining any accommodation really. But I think I'm sure they'll be able to do a better introduction of their company than I did there. So I'll start with Daniel. Just quick intro about yourself before we actually move on to the Q&A.
Hi, thanks, Leke. Thanks for the brief intro. My name is Daniel. I'm the founder and lead developer at Ecobell. Ecobell enables communications between guest and host, and also enables hosts give remote access to their properties from wherever they may be. Digital access doesn't require an app to download. Everything is all web-based. We joined the program last year. I actually applied the year before and didn't get in, and then last year we applied for it, and then eventually got on the program. So hey, that's my brief intro.
Thank you, Daniel, for that. I think Sam is currently busy, so I'll pause on this intro for a while. I guess the format of this essentially is like Q&A. So I'll just ask them a few questions. Whilst I do that, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat, or actually just raise your hand and ask them directly. We want this to be as open and informative as possible around how to apply for the fund. For reference, we're talking about the Devo for Black Founders Fund, which closes this Sunday, which offers free equity, cash-free to Black founders, as well as support and access to mentors and Google resources. So starting with you, Daniel, you mentioned you applied twice. So do you want to talk us through, I guess, the difference between your first application and your second application that was successful?
What would I say the difference was? I think it was just more of where we were. I personally believe we were quite early on when we applied the first time. And even if we got it, I think it wouldn't have had as much of an impact as it's had now with the stage we are with the business. So it was just more about the traction and where we were with the business, and the fact that it was the first fund, the first Black Founders Fund at the time. And there were so many other Black founded businesses that, or multi-diverse businesses that, were miles ahead of where we were. And then we came in last year, but we're really good favorites because when we came in last year, there was a lot of emphasis around Ecobell and what we're doing, and they're really keen to see what we've done in the last year. So that was the real difference. It was more of the traction.
Thank you, Daniel. And I guess getting into the practicalness of sleep. So there's, I guess, two main things from the application. There's a video part and there's a written application. Can you talk us through like what you did personally around those two things, or how much weight did you put on those?
So the video is really good because it does emphasize your business. It shows you, as founders. I've got co-founders, or Ben, who was in the video, and we're able to just talk about ourselves. We're able to show ourselves first of all. But the idea behind the video is talking about where you've come from, what you're currently doing and where you're going. Or this is how we structured our video anyways. Just talking about all we'd achieved in the past, what it's taken to bring the product to where it was, the funding history of the business as well. and where we're going, what the traction was at that point in time and how big we see it going. I think it's good to highlight that your business is beyond, just wherever your current niche is or how small it is and where it's going and, how big it could be. Because they want to see a lot more impact. The idea of bringing, these Black founders on board and um, being able to get more funding for the next year is getting businesses that would have impact in this year or businesses that can massively scale. I think scale is actually the word. So where you are right now, you must be at a point of scale. You must have done a little bit in the past. I mean, there were businesses that were pre-revenue, if I remember. But ideally, you would have a little bit of something coming in, or you'd have some substantial traction. And then it's about scale and where you're going and being able to demonstrate that in your videos and in your text as well. And that's what we're able to do. Ben and I, had a 3 minutes video, I think it was, where we just spoke about the business a lot more and what we aim to achieve. And then after that, you go into the interviews, 2 stages of interviews before you get selected.
Thank you. And I guess before I go into the interview stage, quick question on traction. So we just had a question from Andy, how much is enough traction, I guess, is a word that gets thrown around a lot.
How much is enough traction?
Let me take that, Dan. Sorry,
Yeah,
guys, I had internet issues as well. So sorry, I'm all sorted now. So I think, as Dan said, right, there's going to be some people pre-revenue and some revenue. Revenue, they do, I spoke to the Google team and they said, revenue is key. They want people to build an MVP. When I applied, I was around a 10K. Then I applied first year and didn't get it. And then I applied second year and got it. But we had pivoted our business. So we had moved from a delivery app to a SaaS business model. But then with our SaaS, we didn't have much revenue. But then again, I think this year, you should look at it as numbers. So there's only 15 being selected across Europe. So 20 in Africa, 15 across Europe. So they probably will choose around 10 revenue companies, and then the pre-revenue companies will be probably 5. I don't know the numbers, but it will be super competitive if you're not doing revenue. But again, most people applying the program will be doing between 5 and 20K, in my opinion. If you're doing above 20K, there is someone I know that's doing above 20K, and they will choose some that have very big seed rounds. But most people, 90% of people in the program will be around the 5 to 20K, or even 5 to 10K, to be honest.
No,
in my opinion,
And I guess maybe on the difference of so is it one application now? Because I haven't actually looked at the application process. I don't know if anyone has looked at for this year.
Yeah, it's one. Yeah, it's Europe and Africa combined together this year. So 20 in Africa and 15 in Europe. So it's one fund. It actually makes it fun. So I think we'll probably touch on it later. One of the best things about the Google program is the people you get to meet. So the cohort, better than the money. Me and Dan are so close now. We talk every day. We didn't know each other this time last year. Me and founders like Josephine at Sojo or Dami and Munab, all these founders. So you lot will get that benefit with the African founders as well that get selected. I think you potentially, I don't know where you guys are all going to meet, if it's UK or in Africa, if you ever get selected, but it's just one application for both funds, I don't know what you call it, both continents, yeah.
Great. I think we had a question in the chat that's been answered already. So ideally 5K monthly.
Don't quote me on that, by the way. Don't quote me. There will be people on there doing 1K a month or 2K a month. Just revenue. When I speak to the Google team and I asked Precious, who's the lead on this, and Mimi, what's the key thing? They're just make sure it's people making revenue. There will be some pre-revenue, but just have some revenue, you have a much stronger application.
And I'll say at that note as well, if you're in this room and you're not making revenue, still apply. Don't let that put you off from applying for the program, right? Because Daniel and Sam said, they actually applied for first year, they didn't get in second year. So actually, I think go through the process this year. If you do, I always say to people, let the other people make the choice for you, rather than to make the choice for yourself, which is something that I think we do as Black founders. We kind of eliminate ourselves before we're even in it. So you have to be in it to be considered, right? And the only way you can do that is to apply. So definitely, if you're in this room, wherever your revenue stage is at, please apply.
Has anybody applied last year and didn't get it and thinking about applying this year? Anyone on the call?
Good question. Amit's got his hand up. Amit, do you want to unmute yourself and maybe talk us through that journey?
The reason there really isn't that much to say. I wasn't ready last year. And but I put the application through because, as you know, Leke, I was on a completely different startup. The pivot just recently happened late last year, so I'm applying with this new startup in the hopes of maybe this being received better than the previous one.
Did you get to the interview stage last year?
No, I did not. I did not even get
Okay.
to that stage.
Yeah, but it is like, so numbers wise, last year I think probably close to 1,900 to 1,000 people apply, and then it's like the team is not the biggest team, so then I think they have VCs helping them, so they will take like I think about 70 or 100 to an interview stage, and then from there they'll pick 40. I don't know what it's going to be like this year, but like yeah, some of my friends also didn't get to the interview stage. Like it's super competitive. Like every time I'm seeing other founders on the program, like constantly being inspired, like wow, like I now see why I didn't get I'm accepted in first year, but like some of them are absolutely killing it. It's like it's Google as well. Like you got other countries, you got people in France applying. You got that's the thing. It's not just the UK, so it's everybody. But this should inspire you. It shouldn't obviously make you afraid. It's also like it's good.
And I guess because I want this to be as practical as possible. So I don't know if you guys have any nugget like on like away from you mentioned traction, revenue generating. Actually, the way you answered the question, was there anything that changed in your first application and your second application?
I think what Dan said about scale was really important. So like how you spend the money. I haven't seen this year's application, but I'm guessing they're gonna ask you how do you intend to spend the money. Like show like a VC, when you're pitching a VC, they want to see a big vision. Google want to see impact. Daniel said those words as well. Like they want to, you lot are getting $150,000 this year, right? But they don't want to hear you're going to go to Gucci, right? Or Louis Vuitton. Like obviously you're not going to write that, but they want to see how you're going to turn 150K into something that excites them. Something like, oh, like we're about to scale into Manchester, Liverpool, or another country. And like I think those just make the reader or the person reviewing the application be like, oh wow, this is really interesting. Like they really thought about how they're going to use this money. If you also you're doing a round, I think that really helps. If you've got another bit of funding coming in from a VC or well-known angel, that would also be really good as well.
Can I just add to that quickly? Okay, sorry. I think it's really important to understand that they want to, like I said earlier, they want to be able to demonstrate that this group of people are actually going to scale because this helps them get the next fund. So what you're doing at the moment, you have to be able to demonstrate that you're at that point of scale. You're at that point where, okay, we've done bits of traction, we've piloted whatever it is, and now it's about growing the business. The use of funds is really important as well. They need to see that that money they're giving you is going to have a significant impact on your business. So, for example, you're making new hires, or are you driving this towards new contracts? It has to do something that is going to scale your business. What Sam said is really important as well. If you have some sort of funding coming in or investment coming in that is going to add up to their fund and is really going to have an impact on your business, it's really important to highlight that as well and show them. Just demonstrate that money is going to have an impact in your business, and how big that impact is where the difference is between startups.
Thank you. We've got a question by Dan. I don't know if I want to ask that directly.
Yeah. I was just wondering, just on that point about scale and I suppose sort of early revenues. So, would you expect that most of the startups being chosen have at least confident themselves that they found some sort of product market fit? Then
I'll say no to that. Again,
Okay.
This is being recorded. If anyone at Google sees this, I don't know, but like I would say no. Like just based off everyone I spoke to, like again, it's like even talking to a pre-seed VC, like they're not expecting you to be finding PM like product market fit, or I don't think Google as well. Like again, then there's a whole gray area around what is product market fit. But I would say like it's they want to invest in early stage companies.
Okay.
I don't think we found product market fit. I don't think Dan has. Most of the founders that are my friends in the program. You get a few, like every cohort there's like one or two, like year one is AudioBub, right? AudioBub is worth 120 million now. Them guys are absolutely smashing it. They have strong numbers. I don't know if it was pre or post the Google thing, but yeah, 90% of the companies, in my opinion, have product market fit.
Okay,
I don't know, Dan, what do you think about that? Like, I'm scared to say, like,
No. I think exactly the same thing. I was going to say product market fit is overrated, but really isn't, because VCs will come to that point where they'll want you to find that. But I think at this point now, your early stage, and even the conversations around revenue as well. It depends on your kind of business. There's certain businesses where revenues are not monthly, or revenues may come in bulk. So you need to just demonstrate that there is traction. Traction doesn't even necessarily have to be revenues. We had a few people in our cohort that were pre-revenue, but then understand that this year is going to be a lot more competitive, because last year there were 40 of us. This year there's 15 people. So it's going to be a little bit more competitive, and I don't know what they might be looking out for in terms of revenue on that scale, but I don't think it's so much. There is a lot of emphasis placed on that. And product market fit as well.
Cool, thanks.
We've got a question in the chat, then I'm going to probably go into the actual questions, which I've got up to see whether you guys have any good observation around that. It said, what makes attractive vision? Do they want to see a global impact? Any examples?
I think like impact's one, but like it's like, just imagine you're talking to a VC sometimes. A lot of this stuff is like VCs. It's like, oh, how big are you going to make this? Like vision is like, do you want to go global with it? Do you want to go across Europe? Do you like, even if you want to dominate the home market, just UK, like they want to see this is bigger than just like an idea. Like how big can it be? I think that's if I understand the question correctly, I think vision is like, yeah, what you want to do long term, how big you want to be. And that differs per business, but most people is about global domination or somehow in their business.
I was gonna say, Amit, no one can really make your vision more attractive than you. That's down to you, and that's your responsibility. You need to figure out, how to best communicate what you want to achieve, and how you're going about it. That's solely you. In terms of the global impact, yes, that should be there. It's sort of like, this is the big market. So our TAM, our SOM, and our SAM, like we can do all of this, but this is where we're focused right now. But there is an opportunity to actually take this bigger, like it could actually go scale, and just narrow down to where you are right now and what you've done where you are. I think that's what they want to see.
Thank you, guys. So I've got the questions up. I'm not going to ask you each question, just like, I guess, picking like key things from those questions, right? The first thing is around, I guess, information about your company, like when is about your startup. And then they ask questions like, your key objectives, your pitch deck. So I guess maybe focusing on those two things, actually, the pitch deck as well. I'm sure you guys submitted one. So this year it needs to be like 10 to 15. Again, was there any tips you want to give to founders based on like the pitch deck? Again, if you look back at your first pitch deck and your second pitch deck, was there anything that you changed around that?
I think my second pitch deck. Sorry, Sam, do you want to go?
No, you can go. You can go. Cool.
All right. I think my second pitch deck, or our second pitch deck, was a lot shorter than the first one. Realize that they are going to see thousands of pitch decks. Make sure you're not inundating them with a lot of information that cannot be explained just in those texts. Just give them what they need to see, and just make sure your deck is as clear as possible, but try not to make it a lot. Don't give them 20 or 30 pages of pitch deck. No one is going to go through that. In worst case, they're just going to skim through it. Give them something that they can easily go through, and manage and achieve that. I think that was a big difference between our first application and our second application. Even though we did get to interviews with our first application, and we made an impact in the sense that they recognized the business and they're looking forward to seeing us the next year. However, that deck, I thought was a lot, and the next year was slightly bad. That's the only advice I could really give around decks. There you go, Sam.
I was going to add to that, and someone asked the question as well. Like, so there is the whole video pitch as well, right? That comes in it. But everything Dan said, I echo that on a pitch deck. But with the video itself, like, I remember my first year and I put so much effort into my video. Like, I work with convenience stores, my business. So like, I had like got a camera set up in the shop. I'm showing the system working in the shop and all of these different things. And it's like, I was gutted when I didn't get it. And year two, I was like, you know what, with a white wall, there was a plant behind me, and I'm just going to speak. I'm just going to speak and just show you who I am and just talk about what we're going to do. And I can imagine loads of people on the call on their journey, on when they create a video, like Dan or like Josephine, we communicates really well, like extremely, like articulates herself super well. And I think the video pitch is just you selling yourself on video. You selling yourself on video, and yeah, like some people might get really creative, but remember panicking in year one, like taking up so much time, me trying to do all of these edits on the video, and imagine all of that effort, and then it's like, wow, I didn't even get it, and I was just gutted. But yeah, I would say be creative maybe, but then also just show yourself. And like, yeah, there's questions. I think there's a format of questions you need to answer in a video, right? Like why you should be selected. What is this impact to the fund going to be? I kind of prefer the video to the deck. I love our deck, but I think the video is something they're going to watch everybody's video. And I think there's a chance for you to really show who you are. And yeah, articulate yourself and your personality as well a little bit.
Thank you guys. I guess the other question is quite straightforward, but so maybe not spend too much time on that, which is more around summarize why you're applying for the fund. But is there any key things you guys remember saying around why you're applying for it that you thought that's catchy, or speaking to your other alumni, what they've said, pulling on that at string, or it doesn't really matter, it's more objective? So just any tip around that.
You know what's crazy is we've all met and we never all spoke about the application. I don't think anyone, because it's like, I think what we do speak about is several of us didn't get first year, right? So even including Josephine, everybody knows it's Sojo, many of us like applied and came back next year. But we don't talk about the actual application itself. But the question is, what would you do with a fund?
No, the question is why, in other words or less, summarize why you're applying to the fund. So I'm just wondering whether, is this where you're objective in I'm applying because of this reason, or do you pull on asterisks a little bit, in terms of like, Google is the best thing since like, companies were started and you want to be part of Google? What's the key thing I guess they're looking for?
I think you need to hype them up a little bit, but talk about your business and what impact. So it's about, this is Google and this is your business, and these two coming together, what impact is that going to have? And this is where you hype them up a lot. And it's not just about the money. If you eventually get it, you would understand that it's about the network, it's about the access to the resources that Google has, not just within, but even the founders that are within the program and from previous years, and all of that. The community is really strong. So you need to emphasize that it's not just about coming here to get the money. Yes, the money is going to do this, but beyond the money, what else are we getting? What other value do I see getting out of being part of this Black Founders Fund, or being part of the Google family besides the money? Just highlight that. But specifically, what the money is going to do for your business is really important. But at the same time, just have a balance of those two. So beyond the money, what happens, and what the money is going to do, that's really important as well.
Dan is super spot on that, actually. Like, if you literally put, I just need the money to do this, it's not, I think they wouldn't, that's like a wrong answer. You need to do both. Like, everything you said is super spot on. Like, speak about like why you want to be part of that community, even using the Google brand. Or I say, like, for us, being part of cohort was the best thing. Most of us say is that we all got to meet each other, and like when we're all going through tough times, or like we want intros and all of these different things, we constantly supporting each other, right? I'll say second to that is actually the Google access. So you get access to all of Google's resources, actually. So you can we speak to people in San Francisco. We built our tech using Flutter, right? So we're constantly talking with the Flutter team in San Fran, brand people from Google. Then I say the cash. But obviously everybody's got different orders of their business of where they prioritize all of those three things. But definitely emphasize on the fact that like Google's resources is huge. Loads of founders on the program have leveraged, like, backed by Google. Like, loads of people have found different ways to double down on that name and use that to their advantage. So you might want to let them know that as well. That's your plan.
That's a good question. We'll start with just the question first. Do you put I think we could take them together. Do you put an emphasis on using Google Tech? And then the other question is, would they mark you down if you're building in AWS?
The AWS one, no. I don't
No.
think no. They're like
Yeah.
most of the founders are using AWS. We were using AWS. We actually switched to Google Cloud, but most people didn't even switch and use the Google
Yeah.
Cloud credits because of how long. I don't think you switched.
No,
You
no,
were
no.
Azure, right?
I'm still no, I'm still not even. I'm using Azure. We use Azure
Yeah.
for a lot of our stuff, and we're still not with Google. So I don't think that is. The reason they asked that is because aside the fund, there is the Google credit that comes with it, and I think it's more of just understanding what the impact of that credit would be for you, or if it really makes sense. You still get it at the end of the day. You get access to all the Google credits and all of that, and you have to find what works for you and what part of Google you want to use for your business. So if you're comfortable with what you're using, but you're not going to get marked down for using AWS or using anybody else. I don't think you really need to emphasize. They would ask you, and if you use any of Google's tech, yes, that would be good, because then they can assist you a lot more. It means they can give you more of their resources, they can give you more access to their people to actually help you and guide you with whatever their products you're using. So yes, they want to find that out, but I don't think that is really a function. And I begin to get a lot of these sales emails as well, so they'll pass on details as well. So if you're using any Google products, then they can easily speak to other people within the team and get them to come help you with stuff. So things around that, that's the reason they ask. But I don't think you get marked down for not using Google, or you really need to emphasize using any of Google's tech.
Thank you for answering that. I guess the other question that I had in mind, because a lot of these other questions are quite straightforward, I just like straightforward information about like the financial of the business. And then at the early stage, what people are saying is like, is the team that matters the most from the startup? So did you guys lay an emphasis selling yourself as the founder and the team around you? Because there's a question here that says, tell us about the founding team. Like, how did you, like, how much detail did you go into that?
I think you need to be able to demonstrate that to anybody, not just Google, the founding team and what you guys bring. So, for example, I've got previous sales experience, B2B sales with Barclays. And then prior to that, or after that, I worked at Amazon as a full stack engineer. So coming to Ecobell, I bring both, this full stack experience, and I bring a B2B sales experience in this industry. And this is really, really important in terms of driving the business and scaling the business. So if you've got, previous skills, you need to highlight that as a founder, regardless of whether it's Google or whoever you're speaking to. You need to be able to demonstrate that the previous skills you've got would actually help you in what you're currently doing. No matter what it is, it could be just interactional skills, or, just things that you can take from here and transfer them to this place. Just be able to highlight how you as a founder, what skills you bring would help the business. You need to sell yourself a little bit,
Cool. Thank you. I don't think there's anything in my head from all the other questions are quite straightforward. I wonder if anyone in the chat has any other questions about the question itself from the application.
I guess I have one question, which is going to be around the replies that we are sending in the form. Roughly how long should it be? Because we can go on for days selling yourself, but at the same time, you don't want to do it too much if they're just going to turn them off, and they'll be like, oh, it's just too long. So like roughly in terms of like when you're trying to be concise, how long do you have?
I'm not sure if there are word counts. I can't remember if you got word counts in the question. That would actually
there was one question with word counts, but the rest of them don't have it.
I think just be as succinct as possible. Be as quick to the point as you can, and that's with most things. If you're speaking to anyone or you're pitching anything, if you keep waffling on for long, then it just sounds like, just go straight to the point. This is what you're doing. Make a few lines and make sure you hit home. That's my own sort of suggestion.
Cool. Thank you. Jesse?
My question is about like the balance between being able to demonstrate proof of concept with your MVP or your product that you have so far versus like stating some of the ambitions of where you want to take the tech. I don't know how you guys, how ambitious you were and how much you were kind of yeah, basically how to frame that ratio of like, I don't want to talk about too much about what we've got right now because there are all these things in the future we'd like to do, and kind of figuring out. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Firstly, sorry that I keep like messing up leaving on this, but I think on that, like your application will, by the time you finish with it, it'll if you've done it well, it will show a good balance. So there's questions what you've done so far, and it'll be questions I think around what are you going to do in the future. Questions around how much monthly revenue you're doing would answer your current situation really well, or what do you do would answer your current situation well. Some people are going to break their what do you do? I am this today, I am this tomorrow. I think how they've put together those questions, or they've purposely done it so that at the end of it we can see where they are today and where they are going to be tomorrow. I don't know if Dan, you might want to add to that, maybe a bit more.
No, I'm struggling to understand a little bit, but I think you've nailed it. I was trying to understand what Jess was trying to communicate. Sorry, Jess, could you repeat that question again? Sorry.
Yeah, I guess the worry that the question is coming from is like, what we have today is nothing like what we want to be able to do, but how do you keep it realistic? Because obviously we all want to build the most incredible product with innovative tech, but I don't know, I just don't want to come across as like over ambitious to the point where it's not realistic, I guess. Like, yeah.
I don't think anything is unrealistic to start with. I think you need to highlight where you're going and how big this can be. It doesn't take away from where you are at the moment. Like Sam has said, a lot of those other questions would highlight your current state. However, don't be shy. Don't be shy of talking about where this could, even if you sound so crazy, put it out there. This is what we think it could be, but this is where we are right now, and this is what we're doing right now. But this is where it could go. And that's what people want to see. They want to see that there is a chance it can actually be this really amazing thing in the next few years, or, you know, this is what their funds is going to do to help you get there. So I don't think you should be shy about that. But like Samuel said, the questions will actually balance out where you are and, you know, where you're going.
I think don't be shy is a really good point, and a good place to really do that really well is on a video. And that video, like, really, yes. I can only imagine some of the other people like explaining, like someone that's, you might want to watch her a few times on Josephine. That was really what I can only imagine her talking about Sojo on that video. Like when I talk to her, it's like, I know what Sojo is today. Like you're just thinking about Sojo in the future, and it's like, yeah, like I don't know how long that video is, but that's a really good opportunity to show where you are going to be tomorrow, basically, or where you want to be tomorrow.
Yeah, great. Thank you both for that, answering that question. We got another question in the chat. How should we structure the scaling strategy? How should we structure the scaling strategy? I don't know, Zaki, if you want to maybe ask that question, exactly what you mean by that. Hello, you there?
Yeah, sure thing. Sorry about that. I guess a lot of the times you have to kind of think about where you want to, and it kind of follows up from the previous question of where you're aiming to go and how you aim to build, especially to other markets, but also how you aim to grow as a company. So in that, I guess that question is themed around that.
I think so a business like mine, I would say I was in a certain part of London when we launched, and I was like, okay, over the next 6 months, we want to launch this part of London and potentially Manchester and Liverpool. Spoke to other founders who are saying, okay, they want to launch abroad. Spoke to other founders like, okay, we want to go from a team of 3 to a team of 7. We want to go from having 4 customers to 8 customers. And it's like, I think, if I'm understanding the question correctly, I think just in regards to scaling, it's just going like, how are you going from 1 to 2? Or yeah, like, how are you looking to grow from team to customers to different, like, it's just different based on each business, right? You might be doing scaling across, I think my application, yeah, like I spoke about the team, increase number. I spoke about opening new markets, new postcodes for our delivery zone. I spoke about the money potentially we're looking to raise coming soon. Like just showing, like I want each phase from fundraise, from the finance side to the team side, to the revenue side, how it's going to grow. I think that's how I kind of went with the scaling stuff. Dan, how about you?
I think the scaling strategy follows on from your go-to-market. I don't know if you're in market at the moment or if you are. Do you mind answering that, Are you in market at the moment, or are you just planning on getting into market? Or you
Plan
scared?
to get market. So yeah, we're kind of working on piloting at the moment. We're a healthcare startup, but I'm working on piloting at the hospitals that we are trying to showcase our MVP in, and then kind of thinking about how a lot of the times you have to think about how you aim to grow after that and the next steps, and which markets is it? This market, in the UK market, you want to grow? Is there certain areas that you feel like your model will be more suitable, but here you want to develop the idea and actually grow the data and be able to show the proof of concept, and also how you aim to increase the range of the features and the actual product that you're delivering. So that's kind of where my questioning comes from.
But you need to show them that you know the answers to those things that you just mentioned. Like, what is the next markets? How are you going to scale? I think, if I understand correctly, like, you need to, as you're applying and you're saying, like, we want to do this new product feature, we want to, like, you need to, because they want to read it and be like, oh, like, Zaki knows exactly what he's doing. Like, I think that's a really big thing when I speak to the Google team. Like, I think the founders that are the most confident in their strategy, and they focus. They don't know your space, right? And you want to try and educate them on that.
I think that's really important. That's that last thing Sam said is really important. You know your market, or you understand your business more than anyone else. I think sometimes when we make these pitches and we pitch to VCs or we pitch to any kind of funders, we assume that they know more than us. But the truth is, you actually know more about what you're trying to do and achieve than they do. They know money. Some of them do. Not all of them even know a lot about money. You know, I would say it should follow on from your go-to-market strategy. So have a clear plan on how you plan on taking this into the market. So from marketing to scale, to sales, sorry. Once you have those two, scaling comes next. So I'd use us as an example. We started off, we've got two products in market at the moment. We've got digital keys in market, and we've got an intercom system. When we initially started, we started intercom systems for blocks of apartments. And then we got a lot of feedback from property managers that they didn't want to source their access management separate to their intercom systems. They wanted everything as once from one supplier. So we started working on our digital keys and then launched our into market. And sometimes the market would dictate what the next direction would be for your product. And it's good to always use the data from the market in terms of new features, because you might think this feature is good for the customer, but it turns out that that's not the customer's pressing need, or that's what they need at the moment. So take a lot of feedback from your product and how customers interact with it. And that will tell you what next to build, or what feature comes in next. So we went back and built that, and then took that into properties. And then we had a lot of problems with the logistics and manufacturing of our hardware solutions. We're predominantly a software business. And now, because you're requesting access, we had to build this whole product around hardware. And then we realized that was a problem for us. So we sort of re-strategized again last year and sat back and said, you know what has a shorter sales cycle? What is going to give us less headache in terms of taking this product to market at scale? And we looked at our intercom systems, we looked at our access management solutions, and we went, getting our intercom systems into hotel rooms scales faster, has a shorter sales cycle, so we're going to focus on this. So take the data from what the market is saying to you, do a bit of research and understand, and be able to demonstrate that. When you see in front of any investor or see in front of any VC, and you're able to outline what your strategy is in terms of going into the market, and then post that scale, and you can actually show the market size as well, that's a winner. So I think it should come from that. Your go-to-market strategy should lead onto your scaling strategy. I don't know if that makes sense.
I'll add to this as well a little bit as well. Like, so you say you did health tech. Also, I think this is really big for anyone that gets to the interview stage. Also, just look at the companies in the last cohort and the year before, and just especially like in health tech, I think we got Zest, Space Plus, No Large, Rona Health, and just like name drop a bit, like flex it, and just be like, just look at like follow those companies, the ones that Google selected. Like, I did loads of research before, like I was so angry that I didn't get selected in year one, that I had to look at how do these other 40 better than me. So I had to like look at each of these stages and understand who's in my space. And like what you also learn, and I think you see how like why they were selected. You see what stage they were at, and like when you get to the interview, you can name drop like, and Google like that, and it also helps if you know the founders in those spaces as well. If you know the health tech, like you know Yasmin at Base Plus, so you know the founders there, so Serona Health, all of these things. I think that's a really good nugget. I think that really works for me. Like just looking at how they scaled as well. Just studying a bit of the people in your spaces that were selected, I think can give you a little bit of an advantage. If you're lucky enough to have similar companies in adjacent markets, I think can answer loads of your question.
Brilliant. Thank you both.
Thank you, Sam and Daniel. Great answer to the question. Is there any other questions before we wrap up? Cool. We'll wrap up then. There's no further questions. So I guess over to you, like any last minute advice, if you had to advise yourself applying again, what would you say to yourself? So I'll start with Dan first.
You know more about your business than anyone else does. I'll start with that. I think founders get a little bit worried. Yes, we do want the money and we want to be identified with a lot of these big names because it does help your business and help the product grow. However, don't be too scared and don't be too nervous to talk about your business. Don't be shy, you know. Like we've said with the videos, make sure you demonstrate where you're coming from, what you're currently doing, and where you're going. Make sure it's all around that. And then speak about yourself as a founder. People invest in founders. It's not 100% the business. Half of the go-to-market strategy you have or your scaling strategy, whatever plan you have, it's all tentative. At the end of the day, you know, things change or things can go in a different way. So VCs and funders are more specific on the founder because they know if there is a problem, this person would find a way out of it. So demonstrate, you know, the skills you bring into the business. Highlight why your product should be picked, what makes you stand out, what challenges you're solving and how you're solving this different from everyone else. Really important. And just be very confident about what you're doing. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I'm going to echo everything he said. Like, I'm going to keep using that pun echo because he's the founder of Ecobell, right? But I would say, every year, I don't really have much to add on it. I would say, if you don't get selected, actually, be nice. The amount of people that didn't get selected and sent bad emails back are like swearing and like 365 days goes quick. The fun might happen again next year, right? And you want to put yourself on the best foot, right? So like, I was gutted. Like, I remember walking when I didn't get year one. Like, I thought I had it in the bag and I didn't get it, but I'm so happy. Like, I didn't swear and send bad emails back. When I met the Google team year two, and they were like, man, the number of people, and you think like, what are you doing? But obviously, everybody wants this thing, innit? And also, if you don't get accepted, try and be part of the community as much as possible. I think that was my disadvantage in year one. So I didn't ever go to like Google Campus or these Google stuff. Like, they sometimes do events where it's private. Sometimes they try and do stuff to support founders like ourselves. And just a year goes by so quickly. There'll be next year again. And just use this year to learn. Again, it's so competitive this year, right? So like, if you don't get selected, go back to work, do the right thing, get the business to another level, and then go again. Just keep going.
I think I'm just going to add to that. I think that's really important. It would surprise you the amount of people that responds to that email, that letdown email. I was one of those people, I'm not even gonna lie, but I wasn't rude. I wasn't really rude. I was just, because I'm very passionate. I'm passionate about what I'm doing. And I'm one of those people that believes that, you know, about this subject. And when it comes to Ecobell, I think I understand what I'm doing compared to most or even VCs. So I sent that email back and I was like, yeah, you know, I expected this, I expected that. And it's interesting.
You didn't swear, right?
No, I didn't.
Some people were very aggressive and swore.
It's interesting. We were in Portugal. This was last year, October last year. Sam and I, and with one of the person that was actually dealing with the emails. What's his name again? Sam. What's his name?
Ollie. So he used to run the program. Ollie used
to run the program last year, and it's amazing how Ollie and I are so cool. After that, and the response I sent back to Ollie was just so long. I'm not sure he read that email. I don't think he actually remembers that. But there's so many people doing that. Just avoid doing that. try and build a relationship. If you do get to the interview stage, make sure you make an impact in wherever way, make sure they remember you. And I think that was what helped us, is we made so much of an impact in the first year that they said to us, we actually don't think you're ready, but we're going to look out for you in the second year. And I held them on to that. So when I came in the next year, I was like, do you remember my face? Sort of like putting out there, and eventually got it, because I was able to make that impact. So there is next year, and you'd always have a better opportunity as time goes on, because you're a better place and you have more traction and you have more to show. So every year gives you a better opportunity. That's what I would say, adding to what Sam
this stuff is like raising from a VC. Like, you're gonna get so many no's, and like we can't be a good founder if you're not good at rejection, right? I'm hoping everybody on this call gets it, right? But the math doesn't, it's very unlikely that every single person on this call is gonna get it. And it's just like, I've been on my journey for several years, and it's just, loads of no's. Things are starting to getting a few yeses lately, which is good. But I'm always gonna be prepared for the no's. Just keep going, keep going. Doors will open, just keep pushing.
Thank you both. Honestly, that's a brilliant advice in terms of not closing the door. As a founder myself, when dealing with corporates, sometimes you get frustrated by the no's, but not closing the door and maintaining that relationship. This has been super useful. Before we wrap up, Amit, we're going to sneak in the last question.
Sorry about that, guys. Last question that was in my mind was when they talk about monthly revenue, right? So if you are getting revenue, but it's not monthly because maybe you're running a pilot and then it's just like a one-time fee situation, would you should you be putting stuff in there, just dividing it and be in my head, or just put that one, or should you just be
I don't know the answer. I would divide it though. I don't know the answer to that. If you made 100K off one customer, I would just divide it. But I don't know the answer. I think, Dan, you might be good. That's your business, right?
It's just push that on. So our business is quite similar to that in the sense that we get annual subscriptions rather than monthly subscriptions. So we get this huge lump of revenue come in at certain times. And what we do is just divide it. So basically in the last, say, 6 months prior to, so imagine you're applying this month. In the last 6 months, wherever revenues come in, just divide that by 6. And that's your monthly revenue. I'll tell you, put yourself in the best position. So when they talk about monthly revenue, over what period? Is it over the last 12 months? Is it over the last 6 months? Is it over the last 3 months? Find what works best for you. So if you've received revenue in the last 3 months, break it down to the last 3 months and produce that and put that on the table. What makes it look best? But when you do go into the interview, make sure you mention that. Make sure you explain how your business works and how often you receive revenue and why you've categorized it this way. But I'll tell you on the forms, put what works best for you and what gets you that interview, and then go into the interview.
That's the best advice. Sell yourself. If I'm making 10K over, if it doesn't ask, there's ways you can sell yourself. Don't say stuff that's going to penalize you, right? If you're just try and figure out there's a skill in knowing that, okay, if I did 100K in a year, and okay, is it better for me? I don't know the maths yet, but if it's 10K a month, but okay, they want 10K. If I've only done 60K, and say an application hasn't asked me for monthly, and they ask what's your revenue, I'm just going to put the 60K because that's the bigger number. So just always find ways to sell yourself and be very skilled, but don't lie. Because obviously it will come back to you. But try and find yourself, find a way to sell yourself as much as possible.
Okay.
Right. Thank you. On that note, again, thank you so much, Daniel. Thank you so much, Sam, joining this last minute. I hope it's been super useful for our audience. And again, application closes Sunday noon, I believe. So do get the application in. If you're not in, you're not in. Wherever you do apply. Thank you guys for joining. I'll follow up with people, maybe with resources and email. I'll try and see if I could get any other things from people for startup team. There's some frequently asked questions as well. Thank you, everyone. And this will be shared as well to those people that attended and our socials. It's been really good.
No worries. Cheers, guys.
Yeah.
Speak soon.
Bye.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys. Bye.